What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Got another blade battle for you all. We're going to be taking a look at my Benchmade Bugout. And yes, we're talking about this particular version with the aftermarket scales. And we're going to be looking against the TW Dawn price. Not looking against, but we're going to be battling against. Not looking against, battling against. I don't know why I said looking. So there's some similarities here, and there's some obvious differences here, especially when you're looking at the lock mechanism. The reason I wanted to look at these is these are two knives that I think are very friendly EDC sized, but have excellent ergos. If you have a larger hand, it is going to look small in your hand, I'm not going to lie, but they feel comfortable and they work really well. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to compare these two. Having said that, the price point for the TW Dawn price allows me to use this variant with the titanium scales on here because this still comes out a little bit less. It's not by much, about a $50, $60 price difference, because this is about $50 to $60 more. Actually, it might even be more than that. So it might be coming out a little bit ahead with that Bugout. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the blade battle. First, let's talk about blades. The Dawn has a 3.3 inch M390 blade steel. It is a very thin blade. The Bugout has a 3.2 inch 20 CV blade steel. So we're talking about very similar steels here, and we're both very thin geometry with very tall flat grinds. Really good. They are going to be a tie for me because the blade shapes are very similar. You do have a little bit lower of a tip on the Bugout overall, but very similar. And again, very thin slicey blades with very well done edges. Best Tech did a really good job on their edge, and my Bugout has a good edge on it. I really don't have any issues with it. It's worked very well. I've actually kept the factory edge and just drop it. So really happy with the edge that I got on that Benchmade Bugout. Now let's go ahead and talk about handle length. You have a 7.5 inch titanium milled handle on the Dawn. You have a 7.46 inch contoured and milled titanium handle from Flytanium on the Bugout. This one here is really tough for me because these both feel really, really good in hand. They have pretty neutral ergonomics. You do have a little bit more of a finger cutout here. That scalloping really tells you where the index finger needs to be. This is more of a subtle carve out here on the Bugout, so it allows you to kind of move around a little bit more freely. I would say this is still going to be a tie though, because I really like the milling on the Dawn. While it's not hyper aggressive, it's still nice and grippy, but the contouring with the milling location and the location cut out for the crossbar lock access feels really good on the Bugout. So this is tough. It's been a tie on steel, geometry, cutting, and it's been a tie on the handles. The lock access and locks going to go to the Bugout. Fingers out of the blade path, really ambidextrous and super friendly to use. Even if you're not familiar with the knife, if you saw this lock bar, I think anyone would know that you pull that back and you can close it relatively easy. Not that you wouldn't know what to do with the frame lock, but the frame lock gets your finger in the blade path. The access to the lock bar for a large hand reviewer is a little snug. It's still doable. I have really learned that you just put your finger like you do on any giant mouse knife. When you go to use their liner lock or frame lock or inset liner locks, whatever it is that you're getting with them, you put your finger on this side and lay it completely flat, and then you get as much contact with the frame as possible to get it to move over. And then if you want to pull up on it, because the fingers are usually a little less skinny, or a little more skinny, a little less thick as the thumb, a little more skinny than the thumb, you can get in there pretty well. Deployment methods, really nice on the Bugout. You got the thumb stud that you can reverse flick, you can finger flick, or you can just use the crossbar lock. Sorry, I don't have the pocket clip on the left hand to keep the knife in place, so it slips a little bit the first time until I realize that I gotta just pinch grip and use my thumb, the meat of my palm to keep the knife from moving. This one here, also very reversible. You can use the left hand to use the front flipper to deploy it. However, for the reverse flick, you have to make sure that you are coming off the lock bar a little bit. Doesn't matter where you put it, your finger on there to deploy it. I guess let me move up a little bit to demonstrate that. What I have found though is when you go up really high, it wants to kind of roll it up into the thumb. So you got to put the thumb up and make sure that you're off the lock bar. I found that it actually works better when you use the pocket clip to hold it in place, and then you can really deploy that out there. So you do have to do some adjusting for the left hand, but for the right hand, everything works really, really well for deployment, and you do have a little bit more fidgetability with the deployment, although the lock bar is a really turn off for me. So I would say fidget factor, you could say it's a tie, but I actually find it's easier to manipulate the bug out. So I give that a little bit of an advantage to the bug out. Now let's talk about aesthetics. Which one do you think looks better? That's subjective. Which one do you really think looks better? I think there's some more curvature, some more pleasing lines with the price. I think it's a gorgeous knife, but I think when you anodize and you take these Lotus scales and put them on there, and again, you're still coming out ahead of the Dawn pricing, the Bugout becomes not only premium feeling, but premium looking. It looks like a much more premium knife. Now, what I'll say takes away for me on the Bugout is the hardware. So you got a lot of hardware that is functional, right? It serves a purpose, but it's a little bit more cleaner on the Dawn. So I am going to go ahead and give a slight advantage to the Dawn, but I think the Bugout is a very good looking knife. Weight. The Dawn comes in at 3.3 ounces, and I don't remember what the Bugout is with the Flatanium scales. I want to say it's 3.1. Let's go ahead and double check that. 2.9, so still under 3 ounces. Definite advantage going to the Bugout, because even with the flat, that's right, because I think originally it was 2.8 and then it kept coming in at 2.9 more consistently. So I don't know, maybe the knife put on a little bit of weight. I'm not judging. It's been a struggle for me here as of late myself. In the end, taking blade materials, geometry, cutting performance, ergos, everything into hand, I gotta give the advantage to the Bugout. I love the Dawn, I really do. It's a great looking knife, it's a great EDC, but the Bugout, what you're able to set it up with and the steel that you're able to get and the warranty and support that you're able to get for the money, it just comes out ahead. And I know that I've done 2 videos here recently where I've had knives coming in against the Bugout, and I usually don't factor warranty as heavily into it, but I really have to. Having said that, there's nothing wrong with this. I've had a couple of Best Techs. They've been really well made, very easy to maintenance, very easy to center. So I haven't had to send anything in for warranty, whereas you could say, well, you've had to send in a couple of Benchmades for warranty, but they fixed it, right? They fixed it. All I had to pay for was shipping, and I got it back in 2 weeks, which is not a long time to be without the knife. So that is a factor for me and something that I do take into consideration with these blade battles. But I do love that Dawn, and I would highly recommend that you get registered for his notification, his email notification, or his newsletter rather, or at the very least follow along with him on Instagram. He does updates there, and he's getting ready to do some lotteries, if he hasn't already by the time this gets posted, for some slightly customized. He's got some Damasteel ones that have different finishes and things of that nature on them. So really cool, really, really cool. And I like him. I like him a lot, and I like his design. So you can't go wrong with either one of these knives, but if you can't find this is a very interesting alternative, because there's a ton of ways to customize these Bugouts, because they've been around for a little while. I think, what, 2017? So they've been around for a little while. They got a lot of aftermarket support, a lot of cool different aftermarket support too. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, leave a like. If you enjoyed the content, consider subscribing. Links are down in the description where you can go and get all this stuff, even where you can go follow TW Price and tool recommendation, alternative knife recommendations, just all the stuff that I could think of down there to help you guys in your hunt. I hope all of you have a fantastic week, and until next time, peace.